关注 CoinTelegraph Hub， 我是 Ting CoinTelegraph 中文 CCO， 我们将继续分享本期主题，专家给你解读 NFT 概念及市场机遇。Welcome guys to the CoinTelegraph China Hub event. And before we start, could you please introduce yourself to our audience? Alex.
Okay, so my name is Alexander SALNIKOV. I'm co-founder and product lead at Rarible. We are a creator-centric NFT marketplace. You can create NFTs and sell them right away.
Cool, thanks, welcome. Sebastien?
喂，你好，我叫 Sebastien BORGET， 我是法国人。我的优势是沙盒。The Sandbox is a gaming virtual world, so we're essentially building a gaming metaverse where players and creators can make NFTs and monetize their creation and their games through the use of our Sand token as well. And we are really excited and one of the true pioneers in the space of user-generated content and NFTs.
Nice. Didn't know that you speak Chinese. That's cool.
一下。
Cool. Welcome. Thank you. And Alex from Enjin.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex RUSSMAN and I'm Director of Business Development at Enjin. Enjin provides a suite of integrated products that make it accessible for anyone to produce assets on the blockchain, both fungible tokens and significantly for this panel, non-fungible tokens. And in my role, I oversee the Enjin Adopter program and therefore relationships with over 40 developer teams leveraging NFTs in their various projects.
Great, welcome you guys. So we're talking about non-fungible tokens today, and it's been here actually for a while, but nobody actually talked about it. There's DeFi boom, there's other, great hype out there, but nobody really talks about NFT. So we're here to discuss with the experts from three great projects. And first, why NFT is exciting for people? What's your comment and why?
I think well, if I can jump in on behalf of Enjin, we've been excited about NFTs really since our ICO and before in 2017. Our co-founders were really excited by the opportunity that blockchain technology had for virtual goods in games. And this is really about being able to take the items that you hold in the digital space and be able to give them and then see verifiable scarcity, authenticity, provenance, and of course ownership. And that means you own and you control your items, but you can also see their history and they come to life and have attributes very similar to real world items, except they have so much more capability. And I think with those kind of 4 points, Sebastien and Alex will have a lot to talk about as well, but just as introduction from my side, NFTs are hugely exciting. So it's definitely overdue having this moment in the spotlight.
I see. And Sebastien, you have more comments on this? Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, very much like Alex and Enjin team, we have been among the pioneers in the space. We've been working with NFTs since the end of 2017 when CryptoKitties really came to the limelight. And our background is simple. We've been 8 years in user-generated content with an existing mobile game called also the Sandbox that has had over 40 million installs, players making literally millions of creation. And we had no way, because of the limit of the platform and the limit of the technology, to reward all those contributors, all these users making games and sharing them, enabling them to actually be rewarded and monetize their creation. So when we saw the potential of having game items that you can truly own thanks to the blockchain technology, that they can be on your wallet and you can trade them, exchange them, monetize them with other users without asking for the permission of a centralized entity like the developer. And we saw, wow, that's cool. But if we combine that and instead of having a game developer generate those assets, we combine that with user generated content, we think that the potential goes tenfold stronger. Like it's basically your creation, the thing that you spend time to make, that you can finally trade, sell, and monetize and also use to build game experience and games in our virtual world. So yeah, that's essentially what excites us the most about NFTs. The second thing that I think is really relevant, and also Enjin is touching upon a lot, is the interoperability of NFT. The idea that because those game assets that now can hold value because they can be traded, they are not sitting in a central company, but they are with the users. They can also be then used and moved by the user into other games. So essentially, the content, the game item you own can serve as a way to acquire users for developer and can provide to users all sort of experience across different games. That's really the basis of like the open metaverse and building a system where content is first.
Okay. And Alex, any further comment on this?
Yeah, that's been insightful speeches. I'm very well shared the excitement about NFT space with my colleagues here. I think we deem NFT space that good just because it gives you the sense of ownership. So like nothing on the internet right now is truly yours. Your email is not yours. Your Facebook page is not yours. Twitter handle, your music library, all of those things aren't yours. They are in custody of big companies that store it for you. And that's not a big of a problem that they store it for you, but they actually don't let you go with them. You can't interoperate your items from one digital ecosystem to another one. And NFT and blockchain in general, it's a new concept of digital ownership that never existed on the internet. It's moving the ownership level closer to the user. Now you are in true ownership of your items, and they are like originally yours. And then you decide to which platform you give them. And we think that's especially important for the creators because they are who create all the digital content on the internet. They create pictures, they create music, they create artwork. All our social networks with videos, all the content that we consumed is created by someone, and this someone needs to be rewarded with it. But in order to do that, we need to track this from the consumer to the creator, and this is why we're here. So we're trying to empower all the creators with the true ownership of their items. Blockchain already gave that to the money markets, to the financial markets. You can truly own your dollars now, and this is just the second stage and probably even bigger one that allows you to create your files, your data.
Interesting. So you're talking about we can, with NFTs, we can actually tokenize everything, digitalizing everything we own and personalize everything that we touch. But how does it work? What is an NFT made of? Like, how does it technically work if we want to introduce this concept to someone who doesn't know what NFT is? How would you tell them what does it work? How do they own them? How do they get hold of those NFTs? So who would like to go first with that question? Sebastien?
I think, well, one interesting thing, I'll try to explain it as simple as possible, then I'll make an interesting remark after. NFTs, I would say, is essentially a proof of ownership, a record of ownership on the blockchain attached to some metadata. And it can be any metadata. It can be text, it can be strings, it can be numbers, or it could be just links to other files stored somewhere else, whether on centralized storage or decentralized storage like IPFS. And as such, NFT object, you can really make it anything you like. It can be an image, it can be a video, a photo, a sound file, a 3D model for games with or without animation. It can be just a record of a legal document. It can be a domain name. The application are pretty much unlimited, and we've seen even like people starting to tokenize as NFT, like ticket concerts or event tickets or buildings, apartments, and even square meters inside buildings and apartments. essentially, like it's really the any kind of data can be stored in a blockchain as it has this unique component and has a definition of scarcity as well attached to it. And the scarcity is something that initially when NFT began towards the end of 2017 with the CryptoKitties, it was always one NFT, one copy. But together with Enjin and Alex, also Rarible, we are all working and using a new standard that we co-invented, which is the ERC 1155, which has really enabled to have multiple copies of the same object and then have more distribution and liquidity of it.
Okay, cool. And Enjin, Alex?
Well, yes, as Sebastien mentioned, we co-developed this NFT standard called ERC 1155, and I speak to a range of different conversations, many of them with game developers who are approaching this technology for the first time, and they want to know what blockchain is and what these NFTs are as well. And similar to how Sebastien explained, I really see the blockchain as this decentralized agnostic database for proving ownership. And when you own an item on there, a token, it can be associated to all this different metadata, as Sebastien says as well. And at that stage, again, we're going to see NFTs used to tokenize a whole range of things, both linked to physical goods in the real world, as well as digital goods that at the moment are not connected to the blockchain. And this is really exciting. I think in one of the early presentations my CTO gave, there was a slide which said, tokenize all the things. And I think we're going to see just more and more people seeing the use cases for giving ownership of a token on the blockchain and attaching the relevant metadata to give it meaning in another industry and in another space. And so with the standard that ERC 1155 that Sebastien was talking about as well, it's possible to associate that metadata as data stored on the blockchain as well. So you can have immutability to everything around that token. You can really prove the previous ownership of the token. And if you think about the appreciation and the prestige given to famous people owning items or the past history of an item, and this could be, obvious example is in the gaming space, if a famous esports player has used an asset, being able to see that event data stored on an immutable database like a blockchain, that is really amazing. And I think we're going to see a resurgence in appreciation for authenticity and provenance around not just digital goods, but around real world goods, which we see at the moment there aren't the correct structures in place to properly authenticate or even display your assets. And now that we have this amazing blockchain technology, we can show off our items, we can showcase them very easily, put them on display in beautiful ways, as I'm sure Alex from Rarible will be able to talk about too, and reappreciate authenticity and ownership of our items.
And Alex, any more further?
Yeah. Well, I think the question was very important, like how does it work from the technical point of view? And let me try to go to the basics here. I think it's a complex, it's the complex object, and it's so great that we have three different views on how that it work and how is the best way to express it to the user. Let me try with this one. So, well, what's ERC20 token? It's just basically a balance is written in blockchain, like how many of the specific tokens do you have? That's a table of balances basically, and the power behind this is that every project understands this table of balances in the same way, and that's why every project now can understand that, like you definitely have them. So NFT does the same with items. All it says basically on the blockchain is that item number 1 belongs to the person number X, like, and and only the person X can digitally sign the transfer so that it will be now belong to the person Y. That's all it got. So it's a number, it's an item that is belong to somebody. The item can be described with the name, image, description, or some unlockable content as regarding Rarible, for example, that we have. But in the end, the standard is what makes it powerful. So a Sandbox, Enjin, all the projects can look at the table of things that belongs to specific people and understand it the same way. We all know that this item would belong to the same person. That's the whole powerful idea behind standards. All the wallets now can look into this table, and that's why when you bought an item on Rarible, you can go to Enjin wallet and you will see it. Or if you bought a land on Sandbox, you can go to OpenSea and see it, because they all are synchronized in blockchain about the knowledge base, or like which items belongs to who. I think that's the best explanation that I came up with.
Okay, interesting. I'm curious for my own myself. You know, the other day I was attending LA blockchain conference, and they made the NFT tokens for all the speakers. They tokenize all the speakers as NFTs. So all I needed to do is to share my Ethereum address with them, and they can personalize it and make it my own, you know, NFT token. What does that mean? If I have that, what could I use for it?
It's a proof, like some are using NFTs as like badges or proof of attendance. There's a service called NFT Cred or POP, proof of attendance token, which is essentially allowing you to keep that NFT as a reward or an achievement to prove that you've been there at that moment, or sell it to someone else who can then say, I was there instead of the right person. I wanted to add something on what Alex mentioned. We've given 3 great definitions, technical, like how NFTs and blockchain can work. But I think like what's more important is like we are, the 3 of us, some of the best use case for the technology, and we're all working on really bringing new users to adopt the technology with all the abstraction of the complexity. So at the end of the day, whether you are an artist who's putting his amazing art for sale on Rarible, or you're a new game developer and building fantastic games with Enjin framework, or you're a game creator and you're participating to Sandbox, or an artist creating 3D content in Sandbox, at the end of the day, all of our users are exploring and discovering NFT technology without necessarily having any previous background knowledge about it. And we've been really enlarging the space and the awareness of the potential of NFTs, specifically this year. So I think there's been really a strong acceleration this year, thanks to the work of Alex and Rarible, and Alex at Enjin as well, and Sandbox and many other actors in the space. And I think it's a great momentum we're seeing with a strong acceleration at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I do have, you know, artist friends who create arts, who would draw amazing, you know, arts, but then they're not getting paid because it's very hard for them to, as an individual, you know, artists, it's very hard for them to get paid. Would that something NFTs can solve the problem of, like, you know, tell them, hey, this is the platform that you should check it out, and creating an NFT wallet there, and, you know, doing all sorts of things there, and getting rewarded, and still owning the ownership of your own arts?
I would say it's part of the solution, but it's not a magic key. Like, it's not just because you tokenize something that suddenly its value will increase tenfold and you'll have many people who want to buy it. Like, that should still be some reasonable factors that justify the, hey, I'm a buyer. Tell me, why would I buy your stuff? Like, sell it to me in a way. And the fact that it is an NFT, it's a way to prove the value that I accepted from you as a seller. And this value can come from whether the aesthetic, the scarcity that the technology allows to guarantee, or the utility, like buying this NFT is going to enable this or that. It's going to be a revenue driver in this platform. It's going to allow me to have better skills in this game, etc. But still, it's not so. Yes, we'll see a lot of people get really accelerated growth and wealth through selling their art as NFT, because it solves a lot of matters, specifically even more for artists. But it's not also, it's like any market, when sometimes there is too much supply and not enough demand, then you get users who just basically are not good at marketing themselves and how they sell their content, and it's not going to magically resolve that.
Mm-hmm.
I think similar to what Sebastien said, it's not a sort of golden bullet. It doesn't solve everyone's problems, but definitely it's a great way to engage a community, to build a community. And these, again, as NFTs that exist on the blockchain, it's very easy to then promote them, to have a community feel acknowledged and rewarded because they own these assets. And then, yes, there are additional ways to sort of monetize and market yourself as an artist. And one really nice feature of the Enjin platform, which I always like to point to for digital creators in general, is that you can program in transfer fees into these assets. So when they are sort of gifted and traded, whenever there's a change of ownership on the blockchain, for that to be processed, there needs to be a fee paid back to the digital creator, which is really exciting because it means that as a digital creator, you're being rewarded for these items ending up on third-party marketplaces and seeing demand after they've left your own hands. But I think where we're seeing success here is that, as Sebastien says, demand is high, and people are really excited to get their hands on these NFTs. And as more sort of goods, as more virtual goods are created as blockchain assets, that supply will meet the demand more. But in the meantime, creating pieces of digital art as NFTs does bring sort of real benefits compared to creating them as a sort of normal piece of digital art. I'd definitely like to hear more from Alex from Rarible on the art side.
Yeah, I would double down on what Sebastien said about no silver bullet. So it's a technology, and technology help you to accomplish several things. And the first thing that it does, it protects the buyer. So if you bought something, you now truly understand that like there would be only 10 pieces sold, or only one piece sold. So it's a protection for the buyer. Second, it gives you a possibility to display that item in the metaverse, in some game, in Decentraland, in Voxel, and Sandbox. You can show your art to the people. If you're sitting right now at home during these pandemic times, there is no much places where you can show your work, and it gives the buyer the ability to resell the item. It gives you the ability to promote yourself better because you can send free samples to people. That's what a lot of our users do. They're just minting 100 of copies, and then they're sending it to active addresses. You can't just send prints of your work to anybody's home in the real life. So it's a technology that allows you to do something in a more simple way, in something better, but still it's all the same market. There is still the same aesthetic result. There is still promotion of yourself, promotion of others. There are still galleries that are collecting stuff, exhibiting it on some events and promoting the artists. So the roles are the same, but the technology allows you to do some things better in a digital manner. Some royalties, programmable royalties, or bids for auctions that are done easily. Then when, like before that, you needed an auction house to run an actual auction for you to accept bids. Now all of this can be programmatically defined, and it simplifies a lot of stuff. But the roles are the same. That's the most important thought here.
And each of your project has your own NFT tokens, and I'm interested to know how does it work and what it is and how do people get their hands on it. And please go ahead, Sebastien.
Absolutely. Well, in the Sandbox gaming platform, we have several tokens. The first NFT we have is called Land. It's part of a virtual map that has a limited number of lands, which are digital space, where creators can publish their game, or owner of land can rent their land for other creators to publish their game, and players can enter and enjoy the games. So lands are ERC 721 NFT with unique location as part of our map. We also have something quite unique. We have released the map progressively during pre-sale. Right now, we have only sold about 25 or 26% of the map. And next week, on November 12th, we're going to do our largest pre-sale ever with 11% of the map that's going to be released for more than $1 million worth of NFT value in total. And something also unique about our land is there are partners, there are brands, there are IPs, they have presence on this map, which means that essentially as a player or as a game creator, I will be able to build a game next to like Atari, Smurf, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Care Bear, CryptoKitties, and many other, including, well, Enjin or Rarible, because they also have presence in Sandbox Metaverse. So that's one. We have assets which are 3D model made by creators and artists that will be used by creators into our game maker to make game experience. And ultimately, we have Sand, which is not an NFT, it's an ERC20 token, which is a medium of exchange, but also a governance token and provide reward through staking. So Sand is also a way really to engage community in Sandbox, and community is a key topic that we just touched about before, but I really think is also part, it's really key to how we are differentiating ourselves from traditional centralized marketplace and product, and make it very valuable for users to be involved and receive part of the reward from their involvement through the tokens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And NG, Alex, could you explain to us?
Well, we have our platform makes it very simple to create NFTs across a very wide range of projects. More than 1 billion blockchain assets have been created on Ethereum through the Enjin platform, although a mixture of fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. But there are some of those that Enjin does produce ourselves. It's a series of NFTs called the Enjin Multiverse. And these are NFTs that we have created on the blockchain with associated digital art and lore, but we haven't made a virtual space or a game or project ourselves to support them. And this is where the really exciting part comes in, which is several of our adopter projects working with our technology have chosen to support them themselves. So if you get the Enjin Multiverse sword, called the Epichrome sword, for example, you can use that in multiple games. It's one single blockchain asset that's associated to you on the blockchain. And when you link your Enjin wallet to a game, it can see all of the blockchain assets that you own, and it can choose to acknowledge and reward different ones. Usually, if a case will be the Sandbox game will acknowledge the items that you have, but the Sandbox can also see the other game items you own. And that is the case with the Enjin Multiverse. The games that have signed up to support the multiverse items are showing their Epichrome sword perhaps as a medieval sword in a medieval RPG game, or as a laser sword in a futuristic spaceship style game. And this is the interoperability that Sebastien was talking about earlier, the ability for projects to see what other projects have created on the blockchain and support them. And this is a pilot use case that Enjin used the Multiverse project to kind of prove this as a possibility across an innumerable number of games, but some of our adopters themselves are exchanging assets and supporting each other as a way to cross-promote. And definitely jump into the Enjin projects, because they're really awesome. There's a whole range of different NFT use cases there as well to discuss. Nice.
And Sebastien, just go back to the map that you were talking about. Is the background in your screen it's the map that you own from your platform?
The background is it's from a game itself. The map is still a 2D visualization. So So it's not as beautiful as this is game behind. It's not.
Okay,
it's not the map.
okay, okay.
That's what you see when you enter a land and you click the play button.
Okay, gotcha.
And as you can see, it looks great, you know, like, so there's no difference graphically with regular game. So that's what we work hard to make regular gamer just feel like, wow, it's a game I want to play. It looks beautiful, it looks fun, I want to be there.
Nice, 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 perfect. And Alex, Rarible, let's share what's Rarible.
Yeah, sure. Funny thing you mentioned, I believe Rarible doesn't have like any NFT of our own. So we didn't create any for us, but we allowed anybody to create their own. And I think in total more than 50,000 of NFTs were created by our users till that date, and they are all traded on Rarible. So there are various possibilities. You can create a single edition, you can create a multiple edition, you can create an unlockable NFT in which you can hide some particular content linked to a high resolution photo or a video or an instruction how to obtain the physical copy. You can create your own storefront, your custom link. So like various possibilities, you can set up a custom amount of royalties that would be distributed to you from any subsequent sales. This is all the features that you can do with your NFTs on Rarible. And we also, probably what the platform has itself, we have a governance token Rari, which is distributed among the buyers and sellers of the platform. So if you want to start experiment with NFTs, come to Rarible, trade, and in the end of the week, you would receive a portion of the Rari distribution proportional to your volume transacted. That's the powerful idea of putting the users back in control of the platform. But it's created to mint your NFTs first. So if you don't care about tokens and that stuff, just come in and enjoy the new ownership.
Very interesting. And what's the market size like? What's the NFTs industry market size like? And what is your future prediction on that?
I'll probably start. We've done some analysis before. I believe the latest numbers of the whole NFT industry is something like $140 million worth of NFT traded, like since the day one. So it's still very early for the market. Remember the time when crypto was traded at those amounts. So probably all projects here will be the giants of the NFT market when it grows, hopefully. So the whole market is quite small. Right now, I think monthly there is some like $20 million of NFTs traded. And Rarible accounts for something like 30 to 40% of that volume. I mean, items created on Rarible and traded through Rarible.
I see. And so what are your comments on the pros and cons of NFTs? Sebastien, would you like to comment on that question?
Well, I think we've all touched already on pros, so I don't need to highlight again like what are all the key benefits. Cons, let's see, that like you're still it's a still very emerging market, even though we've been 3 years in this industry, building product and showing, enabling creators to make more, to enjoy true ownership of their creation. What we've seen, we are essentially facing two issues that I believe a lot of people are working on in our ecosystem. One is the lack of liquidity, as any early market, even though you buy an NFT, it's not as easy to sell it later. So like it's not as I buy any main cryptocurrency and I know I will be able to trade it on exchange, etc. So there's definitely a lack of liquidity, whether it's because well, there's not enough buyer or not enough demand yet, or because most of the NFTs are within two blockchains at the moment, which are Ethereum and I believe Wax, if I'm not wrong. And there's a much bigger landscape of blockchain and users around the world that potentially would want to trade them, but don't have the ability yet. So swapping across chains. The second issue I would say, besides the inherent cost of minting and the inherent cost of running on the blockchain and gas fees, is the fact that there's like in every market where there's popular items that are selling for high prices, now we have to face control, like counterfeits NFTs. People who are trying to just steal just the metadata that was associated with an NFT, re-upload for themselves. And so as a buyer, you need to be more and more aware of like, do you trust the provenance of this NFT? Do you trust who was the original creator before you buy it? And that's part of the role of the marketplaces like us to ensure that, yes, this NFT really comes from Sandbox, or this NFT was really made by this reputed artist, and because we know the wallet address and we were able to run additional verification to protect buyers.
Okay, so there's still a risk with hacking and counterfeit, like real life, in real life. Okay, interesting.
That's part of like turning virtual items into things that can be traded like in real life physical goods, and as such, yes.
Okay, and Alex, any further comments on the cons of NFTs?
I think in terms of the cons that Sebastien gave a very good overview there. I think partly education, which perhaps comes back to some of our earlier topics, but I think the cons are people don't fully appreciate. I think the vast majority of the population don't know what NFTs are, or what they mean, or really the sort of full breadth. And I think what we'll hopefully see a lot more going forward is better education, partly through friction being pulled away from the blockchain experience, and a lot more sort of usability in terms of exploration, discovery, and interaction with these NFT assets. So places like Rarible are absolutely amazing at engaging people with a whole new kind of industry and a sector. And so like Sebastien, the Sandbox, the different sort of IPs you're engaging with, really great way to introduce people to blockchain assets and ownership. And obviously over at Enjin, we'd say hold your assets in the Enjin wallet. It's a fantastic experience, and it's only going to get better. And the Nginx Explorer marketplace is also about taking that data that's on the blockchain, the metadata we've spoken about, these tokens, and presenting them to users in a way where they can actually appreciate what is what's happening under the hood of the technology.
And you guys joining our hub event, educating the people here, the audience too. So great. And thanks for sharing. And Alex, any more further comment?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, if you.
To Alex is here. So I think my call for the space is more coordination. As Sebastien definitely told, there is a lack of liquidity right now, but that's quite prone to the nature of NFTs. They're singular. There is not much of a liquidity when you try to sell your car either, because it's singular. It can be traded in batches. So the secondary market is just the beginning. So far, probably everyone just bought items from the creator part. But the secondary market, when they will start rising in price, is yet to come. So it's a good starting point to join the market before the flipping game is finally unraveled. And I think the coordination between projects also need to be done, because we need some sense of a shared royalty scheme, for example. So if the item was created on Rarible, we respect the royalties that needed to be paid to the original creator. But other marketplace, if you then move the items to another marketplace, they can just don't know about this royalty rule. So we need some sense of a shared state of royalties, and the same with probably moderation. So we need to have some list of known counterfeit items, because again, if you are moderated out on Rarible, you can still go to another marketplace and try to sell it there. That creates some problems. So yeah, coordination between projects is needed to grow the space to the level of DeFi and further. I think that's my idea for now.
Great. Thank you guys so much for sharing, you know, and educating us of what is the NFTs. And I think you guys have sum up what's your vision, what are some of the things that we need to focus on for more progress in the future. And great learning from all of you. And thank you for your time. And let's see each other again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 谢谢你们。再见。
谢谢。Bye.
Bye bye.